Chapter 5. Of course she must buy tea in Uncle Benjamin's grocery store. To buy it anywhere else was unthinkable. Yet Valancy hated to go to Uncle Benjamin's store on her 29th birthday. There was no hope that he would not remember it. "Why," demanded Uncle Benjamin leeringly as he tied up her tea, "are young ladies like bad grammar-mans?" Valancy, with Uncle Benjamin's will in the background of her mind, said meekly, "I don't know. Why?" "Because," chuckled Uncle Benjamin, "they can't decline matrimony." The two clerks, Joe Hammond and Claude Bertram, chuckled also, and Valancy disliked them a little more than ever. On the first day Claude Bertram had seen her in the store, she had heard him whisper to Joe, "Who's that?" And Joe had said, "Valancy Sterling, one of the Deerwood old maids. Curable or incurable?" Claude had asked this question with a snicker, evidently thinking it very clever. Valancy smarted anew at the sting of that old recollection. 29, Uncle Benjamin was saying. "Dear me, Doss, you're getting dangerously near the second corner and not even thinking of getting married. 29! It seems impossible." Then Uncle Benjamin said a very original thing. Uncle Benjamin said, "My, how time does fly!" "I think it crawls," said Valancy passionately. Passion was so alien to Uncle Benjamin's conception of Valancy that he did not know what to make of her. To cover up his confusion, he asked another conundrum as he tied up her beans. Cousin Sickles had remembered at the last moment that they must have beans. Beans were cheap and filling. "What two ages are apt to prove illusory?" asked Uncle Benjamin, and not waiting for Valancy to give it up, he added, "mirage and marriage." M-I-R-A-G-E is pronounced miraza, said Valancy shortly, picking up her tea and beans. For the moment, she did not care whether Uncle Benjamin cut her out of his will or not. She walked out of the store while Uncle Benjamin stared after her with his open mouth, and then shook his head. "Poor Doss is taking this too hard," he said. Valancy was sorry by the time she reached the next crossing. Why had she lost her patience like that? Uncle Benjamin would be annoyed, and would likely tell her mother that Doss was being impertinent. "To me!" And her mother would lecture her for a week. "I've held my tongue for 20 years, thought Valancy. Why couldn't I have held it once more? Yes, it was just 20, Valancy reflected, since she had first been twitted with her loveless condition. She had remembered the bitter moment perfectly. She was just 9 years old, and was standing alone on the school playground while the other girls of her class were playing a game in which you must be chosen by a boy as his partner before you can play. Nobody had chosen Valancy, little, pale, black-haired Valancy, with her prim, long-sleeved apron and odd, slanted eyes. "Oh," said a pretty little girl to her, "I'm sorry for you. You haven't got a beau." Valancy had said defiantly, as she continued to say for 20 years, "I don't want a beau." But after this afternoon, Valancy once and for all stopped saying that. "I'm going to have to be honest with myself anyhow," she thought, savagely. "Uncle Benjamin riddles hurt me because they are true. I do want to be married. I want a house of my own. I want a husband of my own. I want sweet little fat babies of my own." Valancy stopped suddenly, aghast at her own recklessness. She felt sure that Reverend Dr. Stalling, who had passed her at this moment, read her thoughts and disapproved of them thoroughly. Valancy was afraid of Dr. Stalling, had been afraid of him ever since that Sunday 23 years before, when he had first come to St. Albans. Valancy had been too late for Sunday school that day, and she had gone into church timidly and sat in their pew. No one else was in the church. Nobody except the new rector, Dr. Stalling. Dr. Stalling stood up in front of the choir door, beckoned her, and said sternly, "Little boy, come up here." Valancy stared around her. There was no little boy. There was no one in the huge church but herself. This strange man with the blue glasses couldn't possibly mean her. She was not a boy. "Little boy," repeated Dr. Stalling, more sternly still, shaking his forefinger fiercely at her. "Come up here at once." Valencia rose as if hypnotized and walked up the aisle. She was too terrified to do anything else. What dreadful thing was going to happen to her? What had happened to her? Had she actually turned into a boy? She came to a stop in front of Dr. Stalling. Dr. Stalling shook his forefinger, such a long, knuckly forefinger, at her and said, "Little boy, take off your hat." Valancy took off her hat. She had a scrawny little pigtail hanging down her back, but Dr. Stalling was short-sighted and did not perceive it. "Little boy, go back to your seat and always take off your hat in church. Remember!" Valancy went back to her seat, carrying her hat like an automaton. Presently her mother came in. "Doss!" said Mrs. Sterling. "What do you mean by taking off your hat? Put it on instantly!" Valancy put it on instantly. She was cold with fear lest Dr. Stalling should immediately summon her up front again. She would have to go, of course. It never occurred to her that one could disobey the rector, and the church was full of people now. Oh, what would she do if that horrible, stabbing forefinger were shaken at her before all those people? Valancy sat through the whole service in agony of dread, and was sick for a week afterwards. Nobody knew why. Mrs. Frederick again bemoaned herself of the delicate child. Dr. Stalling found out his mistake and laughed over it to Valancy, who did not laugh. She never got over her dread of Dr. Stalling. And now to be caught by him on the street corner, thinking of such things! Valancy got her John Foster book, Magic of Wings. "His latest, all about birds," said Mrs. Clarkson. She had almost decided that she would go home, instead of going to see Dr. Trent. Her courage had failed her. She was afraid of offending Uncle James, afraid of angering her mother, afraid of facing gruff, shaggy-browed old Dr. Trent, who would probably tell her, as he had told Cousin Gladys, that her trouble was entirely imaginary, and that she only had it because she liked to have it. No, she would not go. She would get a bottle of Redfern's purple pills instead. Redfern's purple pills had been the standard medicine of the Sterling clan. Had they not cured second cousin Geraldine when 5 doctors had given her up? Valancy had always felt very skeptical concerning the virtues of purple pills, but there might be something to them. It was easier to take them than to face Dr. Trent alone. She glanced over the magazines in the reading room for a few minutes and then go home. Valancy tried to read a story, but it made her furious. On every page was a picture of the heroine surrounded by adoring men. And here was she, Valancy Sterling, who could not get a solitary beau. Valancy slammed the magazine shut. She opened Magic of Wings. Her eyes fell on a paragraph that forever changed her life. "Fear is an original sin," wrote John Foster. "Almost all the evil in the world has its origin in the fact that someone is afraid of something. It is a cold, slimy serpent coiling about you. It's horrible to live in fear, and it is of all things degrading." Valancy shut Magic of Wings and stood up. She would go and see Dr. Trent.